A very good morning to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on Monday morning. I hope you all had a good weekend. Looking forward to the week ahead. Well, I am, because I think our transfer business is about to really take off. Yes, we've signed a couple of players already, but I think this is a week there we're going to see a few more new faces coming in pretty imminently. Now, I'm going to talk about two players who look like they may be, maybe coming to the or certainly one coming to the club this week, and maybe the other following suit pretty soon. Now, news broke out late on Sunday on Twitter. I keep calling it Twitter. I can't call it X because X doesn't mean anything to me. So, news broke out on Sunday evening, that West Ham have reached a verbal agreement on a third defender. And this news is quite significant, and I'll explain why. Now, if you recall, I recently did a show about Nayef Aguerd and whether I wondered, whether he was going to stay at West Ham or not. And if he doesn't, then I suggested that we needed a left-sided or a left-footed centre back in order to replace him. Now, since then, we've seen Aguerd fully participating in preseason training. He also made a second half appearance in the first preseason friendly against Grasshoppers on Saturday. Um, but I said that if he's going to go, I mean, I was actually quite surprised in a way that he was in the team, but which kind of suggests that maybe he will still be with us. But with the news that broke out about us being linked to a left-footed centre back, all of a sudden it piqued my interest. Now, the reason being, why I think we needed if Aguerd leaves, why we need a left-sided or left-footed centre back is to accommodate Max Kilman when we play a back three. But because I believe that Kilman is far better in the centre of a back three than he is playing on the left side of a back three. Hence why I think it's important to get a left-footed centre-back. Now, in all honesty, when I did that show, a couple of people, one viewer who said he played football centre-back, but he was right-footed and he was better on the left because it gave him balance. So I see that point. I understand that point. But I still think in my head, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. If you've got a left foot, you play on the left side. So cue the latest report that we have apparently reached a verbal agreement to sign FC Lugano centre-back Albian Hajdari. Before I carry on, if you're new to the channel, first time you're watching the West Ham Voice, or if you've watched me before but yet to become a subscriber, please become a subscriber. I'm aiming for the 9,000 subscriber mark, which will be lovely. Costs nothing to subscribe. All the content is free. And at the very least, if you enjoy this show, please do hit the like button at the end. So, I won't profess to knowing anything about this player, except that he was born in Switzerland. He developed at the Basel Youth Academy, was identified by Juventus, who signed him when he had just turned 17. I think they signed him for something like about 4 or 5 million euros. He spent the first 2 years being loaned back out to Basel. Then in 2022, he was loaned to FC Lugano. And that loan deal was converted into a permanent deal in January of 2023 for a fee of around £500,000. Now, he's since made 109 appearances for the Swiss club. And in March earlier this year, he made his full Swiss debut for the Swiss national team, where he played 45 minutes in a friendly against Luxembourg. He has a contract with FC Lugano till 2028, and apparently there's a release clause of just 5 million euros. Now, apparently he's worth about 12 million, but there's this release clause. So let's see if that's real. Now, to me, this smacks of yet another Carl McCauley signing. First, we got Diouf at the age of 20, and now it looks as if we're being heavily linked to 22-year-old Hajdari. And if the report is accurate, it came from a German journalist called Dominic Schneider. He went on to state that, as I've mentioned, only a verbal agreement has been reached. The player is keen to sign, but West Ham have yet to trigger his release clause. So very interesting news that has come about at the right at the death on Sunday evening. So is he any good? Well, according to various scouting reports, the 22-year-old 6'2" centre back, his strengths include a high percentile rate of interceptions, blocks, as well as a high rate of clearances. This is in the Swiss league. His passing completion rate is 87.4%, which is okay, not bad. He's described as having a strong positional awareness. He's a bit of an old-fashioned, robust defender, which means he isn't one to maraud forward with the ball. He's very much stay in your lane, stay in defence, and block those passes, block those shots, etc. To me, he sounds as if he's a Swiss version of Craig Dawson. However, he is very comfortable in possession of the ball, and he does need to improve his disciplinary record somewhat, because last season alone, in the 24-25 season, he amassed 15 yellow cards and 1 red in all competitions. Now, honestly, he sounds like a bit of a bruiser, but maybe this is what West Ham have been missing since, the departure of Dawson and the likes of Angelo Ogbonna and defenders like that. Now, there are areas he needs to improve. He's still developing, and he needs to get better at aerial duels and winning tackles. Now, both of those are pretty important, I would say, being a defender. And as I've mentioned, he's got a poor disciplinary record that he really needs to try and combat. Now, not only has he played in the Swiss league, he's also had a taste of Champions League and Europa League qualifying rounds, as well as playing 7 games in the Europa Conference League. If he continues his development the way that that is hoped, there's every reason to believe that Hajdari could become a mainstay in the Swiss national team, as well as playing in one of the top 5 European leagues within the next year or so. And that opportunity may well have arrived if this deal goes through for him to sign for West Ham United. Time will tell. But if he does, Macaulay and Potter are fully adopting the approach that has been made to work so well during their time at Brighton, where they buy for small transfer fees. And should these players do well, not everyone's going to be successful, but should these players do well, then they're going to be sold for huge profits in order to be able to reinvest the money back into the squad, much like they did when they were both at Brighton. Now, whilst the signing of Kyle Walker-Peters doesn't necessarily go along that mantra, the signings of Diouf and Hajdari definitely would, if of course they reach their full potential. If we pay a mere 5 million euros for the Swiss international centre-back, plus what we paid for Diouf at 19 million euros plus add-ons, that's just 24 million euros in total. What's that? 20 million pounds, 21 million pounds in total for 2 bright, young, and upcoming players. Long may it remain that way. Now, another player who looks like he'll be arriving imminently is Leicester goalkeeper Mads Hermansen, who turned 25 only a few days ago on the 11th of July. Now, we've been linked to loads of goalies over this transfer window ever since we've got a position available there with Lucas Fabianski leaving. And we've even been linked to goalies where the story's not been true. One in particular whose surname is synonymous with a famous motorbike. I'll let you work that one out. Hermansen was kept out of Leicester's side, who beat Hungarian club Zalaegerszeg, a Hungarian club, 1-0 on Saturday. Zalaegerszeg. Hermansen has a contract till 2028, same as Hajdari does, and his valuation in this transfer window has fluctuated wildly between 15 to 35 million pounds. Now, it's assumed that a deal to sign this player will cost us around 20 million pounds. Now, I've even suggested, I believe I've read it somewhere, that we may be looking to perhaps loan him with either an option or obligation to buy. And that option or obligation is dependent on whether Leicester City will be promoted back into the Premier League or not. Now, if they get promoted, they would love to have Hermansen back, hence putting an option in. If they don't get promoted, it becomes an obligation. So we'll see what happens there. So, what would Hermansen bring to the West Ham goalie department, especially with all the goalie trainers that we've now brought in? He's got great reflexes on saves. That's the same as Areola. He's got great reflexes too. But Hermansen reacts quickly in the box. He's got great positioning. He's got an excellent distribution skills, very comfortable launching the ball long, and he has very decent sweeper keeper type traits as well. He's willing to come off his line to act as one of the defenders, as I said, like a sweeper at the back in order to pass the ball, push it forward, and that helps to close space down, pushing the team further up. Now, all these things are what we want from Areola, but apart from his great shot stopping, great reflexes, he certainly isn't comfortable with distributing the ball itself. So Hermansen at 25 is yet a further example of bringing the average age of this West Ham squad down quite significantly. Our transfer window has finally started in earnest. First, El Hadji Malik Diouf, which was followed up by, I think, is a very solid and a very astute signing of Kyle Walker-Peters. And everyone that's saying he's a Salthouse client, he's not. He is a CAA client. Salthouse's agency, I think, is Unique Sports, something like that. And if Hajdari and Hermansen are signed this coming week, then it looks as if what Potter and McCauley want to do at West Ham is really taking shape. 20-year-old Diouf, 22-year-old Hajdari, 25-year-old Hermansen. It's looking pretty good. So all eyes on this week, because after these signings, we've then really got to focus on what's happening in midfield and also what's happening in our striker department. And with news that Emerson could soon be leaving, might we now see the departure of Aguerd as well if Hajdari comes in? We'll be bidding players farewell, but welcoming new players, and that can only be a good thing. That's it. Short and sweet. Like I said, if you've enjoyed this show, please do subscribe. Please do hit the like button, and I'll be back again. Probably, I'm thinking about a West Ham Weekly Live on Monday night with a couple of special guests. So look out for that as well. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you soon.